Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining me with another history video. Before we get into this one, thank you for such great feedback on the Little Caesars video, and thank you all for sharing all your memories as well. Thanks to Little Tuna on PCF for giving me this idea to make this one. Today, we'll be talking about Pick Hobson's Riverside, which also used to be Jessie Beck's Riverside at one point as well. Before both of them, it was owned by many others, but we'll get into that now. We'll go back in time all the way to 1870, when a guy named William Thompson bought the Lake House, which is where the Riverside Hotel would get built. It was a 3-story barn-like structure, and in 1880 it was renamed the Riverside. Thompson would then sell the Riverside to Harry Goss, who then replaced the Lake House and built a 110-room, 3-story brick building with towers, moving the Lake House behind that building. In 1922, unfortunately, it would burn down and was left alone until 1925, when it would then get sold again. George Wingfield was the one who bought it, rebuilt it, and got it back to action. With the help of a few other well-known businessmen that were around gambling by the names of Nick Abelman, Steve Pavlovich, and Bert Riddick, they were able to get a roulette wheel, a blackjack table, and a hazard game. A few years later, more tables were added, and Abelman and Riddick ran the casino side of the Riverside Buffet during those times for about 15 years. George Wingfield didn't have a gaming license at the time, and that's why he kept bringing in these other groups and individuals to run the casinos who had gaming licenses and knew what they were doing. In 1949, the Abelman group left and Mert Wertheimer came in. He was licensed for a blackjack table, a craps table, 1 roulette table, and 10 slot machines. In September of 1949, they began construction on an addition to the Riverside Hotel. It wouldn't be finished until 1950. Once it was completed, there was an additional 84 rooms, a swimming pool, a theater and restaurant, dance floor, and a banquet area. It would be the first ever swimming pool to be built into a Reno hotel. Wertheimer made the Riverside famous by bringing in acts like Ted Lewis and Frank Sinatra. During this time, the Mapes, Riverside, and Golden Hotel were competitors downtown and were the stars of the city. In 1951, Lou Wertheimer, who was Mert's brother, would become a partner and more tables and slots would get added. This time, 105 slots, 4 craps tables, 2 roulette tables, and 10 blackjack tables. In 1955, Wingfield would sell the Riverside to Lou and Mert Wertheimer for $4 million. It was 6 stories high and had around 200 hotel rooms. In 1958, the Crummer Corporation bought the Riverside and the Wertheimer Group was given a 10-year lease for the casino, bars, restaurants, and entertainment. A few months later, Lou Wertheimer would pass away, and 2 months later, Mert would unfortunately pass away too. Over the next few years, the Riverside was handed to different groups, sold off, bought, and the cycle repeated until around 1963, when the Hughes Porter Corporation of Nevada bought the Riverside. Then, it reopened with 200 slot machines, 2 craps tables, 1 roulette table, and 8 blackjack tables. In 1967, the casino would get closed after the Gaming Control Board found and confiscated a pair of crooked dice at the craps table. In between this break from 1967 until 1970, the Teamsters would end up buying the Riverside at an auction, and it would reopen without a casino once or twice. Will Ferris would buy the Riverside and was licensed for 2 craps tables, 1 roulette table, 11 blackjack tables, 1 keno, and 2 slot machines. Ferris wouldn't even get to see the day the Riverside would open up again because he would unfortunately pass away 1 day before the opening, and the Riverside would get put up on auction again, and the Teamsters would buy it again. In 1971, Jessie Beck would buy the Riverside and she was licensed for 100 slot machines, 9 table games, and 1 keno. It would officially reopen on April 1st of 1971. After Jessie Beck owned it for 8 years, it would get sold to Harrah's Club as part of a 3-way real estate deal with Overland Incorporated and Jessie Beck. Harrah's sold it in order to trade it to Overland, who Pick Hobson, who owned it at the time, for that firm's old hotel casino at the corner of Center Street and Commercial Row. In 1968, Pick Hobson took over the Riverside and ran it until 1986, when he was faced with a debt service of over $4.6 million and would end up filing for bankruptcy. A month later, he closed the casino on December 30th of 1986. Again, another group would purchase the Riverside and the land, but nothing would be done with it until 1997, when demolition crews would begin tearing it down. Today, it has been turned into a space to have artists' lofts, restaurants, and shops. I'm sure chip collectors love the Riverside chips, from the originals to Jessie Beck's and Pick Hobson's, being that many of them were tier Ks, having that old school leaded, chip feel to them. Jessie Beck's chips in particular showed colorful, vibrant colors that popped, and Pick Hobson similarly had a variety of colors as well, making both, if not all, versions of Riverside chips great for collectors and those making sets out of them. That was the history of the Riverside Hotel that was located in Reno, with so many changes in hands from 1880 until 1997, when it was lost. I'm sure those that remember Reno history or are from there will never forget what kind of action it brought to the city, and as the chips are still being used today by many. Thank you for watching this video about the Riverside, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please drop a like and comment below something that you learned or what your favorite thing about the Riverside is. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to get notified when I upload new videos. And it's been Oscar. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.